This is called That's the Way Boys Are by Leslie Gore.
What's this song about? Like, what?
Just listen. In the late 60s and early 70s, in the United States, some people perceived that there were few positive women's images within popular music, and a lack of opportunities for female performers in the USA. Many feminist and lesbian musical performers created the idea of separatism, which is allowing major producers to produce music for only women. Many popular artists, such as the Supremes, a Motown-era group of African-American women who created the song Stop in the Name of Love, and Dolly Parton, who created the song Just Because I'm a Woman.
Like, she's just, like, excusing all of her boyfriend's, like, terrible treatment towards her just because he's a dude. Like, that's not cool.
Yeah. That's so sexist.
What do you mean? My boyfriend's a perfect gentleman.
Your boyfriend has cheated on you more times than I can even count. And that's like a lot.
And yours is so perfect?
Yes.
This is what they want.
No,
This is what they want. Like, y'all are fighting over them, and, like, because of them, we should be empowering each other. We shouldn't be fighting because of
Empowerment!
like, our dudes, like, terrible treatment or whatever.
Yeah, but for real though, like, this is the age of women's empowerment. Like, if y'all notice, like, women in the workforce today, and how we're, like, fighting for equal wages and stuff, like, we don't even have that right now.
Seriously, we only get equal wages when there's a war.
So the wage gap was this thing where, well, it is a thing where women are paid less than men because we have to give birth to babies. And they think that because we have the beautiful bodies that can reproduce human beings, that we're going to be useless for over 2 years just about. So they decide to pay us less, even though we do the equal work as men. And we are equally as good, if not better. Essentially, women are getting paid less for the exact same jobs as men simply because we are women.
Sometimes even harder jobs.
Yeah. Like being a mom. It's really even in female-dominated industries such as teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And men are still paid more.
Yeah,
Dad
for
won't even
real.
let me get a job. Like,
Is he one of those guys that, like, just expects you to stay at home and be, like, a housewife or whatever?
I mean, I don't know, I guess I just have to be a perfect daughter.
Yeah, but isn't being a housewife like the perfect dream?
Yeah, that's what they want us to think.
I mean, I guess I've just been brainwashed by society to think that women are supposed to be in a box and gender roles.
Yeah, dude.
Oh my gosh, the world is new. I have been enlightened. I am not just a sexual object to be used by men.
Well, there's some films like Daisies where women are going against, like, materialistic society, and I think that's what we should do because that's, like, female empowerment all the way, you know?
Yeah, totally.
Second Wave Feminism is a movement for white middle-class Americans who refuse marriage and motherhood to be careers for women. Women wanted equality in the workplace in a society which would allow them to go into a professional career, even if it wasn't traditional women's work. Some examples of Second Wave Feminism are the Miss America protest, New York abortion speak out, the Ladies' Home Journal sit-in, and the Women's Strike for Peace and Equality.
Is that what we're supposed to know for the test, or like...
That's
is that
like
just your
one
personal
thing.
interpretation?
That's like one thing.
It's called
And it's like both. Daisies.
Daisies?
Checks the book. Yeah.
Daisies. Like the flower?
That's a
No,
really good
like the
movie.
bug.
Valerie and her Week of Wonders. It's
You
like
always
totally,
say that we have to watch
shut
it.
up. Listen, no, it's like totally
think we're doing
normalizing
okay.
like female development and making it like erasing the stigma around it. Yeah, it's from like 69.
Are you
or
on the
something.
same thing we are? Because like I feel like you're...
Valerie and her Week of Wonders is a feminist film from like 1969 or something.
I believe her. She seems like she knows what she's
I was trying to say, are you on the
my
same...
favorite
I was trying to
movie.
say, are you on the same thing as us?
Obviously not.
I think we had a little too much incense,
Yeah.
if you know what I mean.
Have you seen the movie Barbarella?
No, I haven't seen it. What's that about?
Jane Fonda is totally objectified, and her
Is she?
husband made her do it.
That's
He
horrible.
directed the movie.
He like strips her down to her sexuality. She's just an object. There's absolutely her character holds no value in the actual movie.
Oh wait, I think my boyfriend went to see that movie.
Obviously.
I think he went to see it with someone else.
Yeah,
Not surprised.
He went to see it with me. Sorry. But you know, that actually reminds me of this artist I saw. Her name was Yoko Ono, I think. She let people cut off her best suits, and she went all over the country.
The feminist art movement emerged in the late 1960s amidst the fever of anti-war demonstrations, civil and queer rights movements, harking back to the utopian ideas of the early 20th century modernist movements. Feminist artists sought to rewrite a falsely male-dominated art industry, as well as change the contemporary art world around them through their art, focusing on intervening in the established art world and the art canon's legacy, as well as in everyday social interactions.
Feminist art began in the mid-60s and it kind of escalated into the early 70s. That's when it reached its prime. So feminist art is about challenging the gender norms in the art world itself, because the art world is really a male-dominated field, especially a white male-dominated field. So feminist art is about taking things that were considered feminine or considered like women's work and having it be seen as fine art. So feminist artists would explore feminine qualities in their art and showcase them as something special and as something that you should be proud of.
It's not a touchscreen.
I just feel so bad.
Dude, this is the 60s. We don't have touch screens or laptops.
Then what is this? But as you can see, they're cutting her suit off. And it's proving at how much society will sexualize women and just imagine them as objects instead of people. At the very end, at one of her last shows, a guy actually cut off her bra. And that's just so inappropriate and sexual.
You know how much guys get offended by bra straps.
It's just an
So is this a book or?
It's fashion. Can you explain
That was
this?
just mini skirts,
Y'all, we all know
And,
who's the
no
most fashionable.
Get out of here! You wear your brother's hand-me-downs.
There's a boutique in London, this designer, Mary Quant. Yeah, she's totally revolutionizing women's fashion right now. She sells the shortest skirts that you can buy. They're not even legal here in the United States.
They're not.
Dude, but are you inspired by any other fashionistas of the age?
So short skirts, right?
Yeah,
What's the
short
Scooby-Doo
skirts.
character? Are you inspired by him, right?
Yeah, I've really always admired his ascot. Feminist fashion trends of the 1960s included the rise of the miniskirt, a symbol of reclaiming women's sexuality pioneered by London fashion designer Mary Quant, men's blazers and suits, part of an anti-aesthetic movement meant to distance women from being viewed through a sexual gendered lens imposed by clothing, and loafers, Mary Janes, and sneakers worn as a practical replacement for high heels, and a rejection of the stiletto as another way that women are sexualized and fetishized by men.
Literature, I hate that subject.
It's
English is my
the
least favorite
best
class.
because books.
Books are so cool.
My mom bought me a copy of What to Expect When You're Expecting for my 16th birthday.
Ew. That's so...
Is that book about
It's a
learning how to live life?
Learning how to be a housewife.
I hate that.
That's sexist.
One of my favorite books is The Feminine Mystique, and it's credited with the start of feminism, and honestly, it's the best.
What's it about though? What is the things they talk about, the issues?
Who wrote it? Because that sounds familiar.
Yeah, who wrote it?
What are her credentials? Is she a woman? Yes, actually.
That's pretty remarkable that there's women writing books.
I mean, it's not
to the public,
It's not the 50s.
and that they're acclaimed.
This is the 60s, so we're a little bit more involved. But it was written by Betty Friedan, who is in fact a woman. It's pretty remarkable.
Have you guys heard about the Equal Pay Act of 1963?
Tell us about it, please.
Okay.
What year is it?
I mean, it was supposed to abolish wage disparity, based on sex, but it's not enforced very well. They say they're gonna do it, but
but still, it's
But
not.
at the end of the day, companies like have control over the wages that they're paying.
Right.
Anybody have any like input on politics?
Okay,
Women had no role in politics.
That is not entirely true. Women did have a small role in politics. There's just very little representation for women, just like there's very little representation for minorities in politics in the 1960s and prior.
Like LGBT rights, like that didn't really exist in the 60s. It started becoming a thing because of the 60s. When
That's
people
part
started
of
fighting for it.
the second wave feminist movement was geared towards, like, amongst other things, gaining political representation.
That's right. The National Organization for Women was formed in 1966, and it was like, it had the goal of getting women that political representation that they needed, and like access to things like abortion, and access to things like equal pay, and just basic feminist policy. But now there's an organization that's going to step up and take us to the next level.
Second Wave Feminism was the largest social movement in the U.S. history. At its peak, polls reported that a majority of the U.S. women identified with it. The protest at the Miss America Beauty Contest in 1969 was the founding moment of the movement. Women did not tend to seek employment due to their engagement with domestic and household duties, which was seen as their primary duty, but often left them isolated within the home and estranged from politics, economics, and lawmaking. Second Wave Feminism also drew attention to the issues of domestic violence, marital rape, and gendered rape crisis centers and women's shelters, and brought about changes in custody laws and divorce laws. The movement started its decline in the 1980s, but the few that were still fighting paved the way to the third wave.
Wait, you actually know stuff about the Chicano movement?
Dude, I'm into the arts.
Oh. Well, I'm into
Most Chicanos belong to the working class, like they upheld alternatives of a generalized Mexican culture, and all of them had to experience living in the United States.
Yeah, I've seen some crazy murals lately. What's
Wait.
up with that?
What is up with that?
Didn't someone paint a school wall?
Is it called the mural movement?
Did you not
Let
do
me
it?
find it in the table of contents. Like, it says in this book, Mexican muralism was the promotion of mural painting starting in the 1920s. Dude, we're in the 60s though.
Well, it started, but like it can continue, and it probably built on itself, and like as more people got into it, it became more mainstream. Dude.
Yeah. Generally, with social and political messages, as part of efforts to like reunify the country. I think it's pretty tight.
Our culture, because murals were like a really big thing in Mexican art, and actually like in Mexico, and then coming here, they're forced to assimilate a lot, so they lose a lot of that. Like, a lot of those elements of their culture.
The Chicano movement, also known as El Movimiento, was a movement pioneered by Mexican Americans beginning in the 1940s and stretching well into the 1970s. The main focuses of the movement included increased rights for farm workers, land restoration for Mexican Americans, reclamation of Latino culture, education reforms, and more representation for Mexican Americans within political spheres. School walkouts, occupations, boycotts, and the Chicano mural movement were all important aspects of the movement. Lead figures included Cesar Chavez, Dolores Huerta, Reyes Lopez Tiarina, and some associated activist groups included the Brown Berets, Venciermos, and the United Farm Workers of America.
Don't they face a lot of like discrimination in schools?
It had more to do with like fair wages and
Yeah.
like,
Okay, well, then
fair
I don't know
treatment
what
in
you're
the
talking
workplace, and like
Well, it also had
not
to do with
being
school.
abused. Well, yeah,
Yeah,
it
that's why I
also
brought up
did.
school because
But also it had a lot to do with
Yeah.
like not being oppressed and taken advantage of in the workplace, which has been happening since, forever.
yeah,
Like really unsafe working conditions and unfair wages and everything.
they really are exploited in the workplace.
Yeah, I'd say so.
In Chicano politics, voting registration was community-driven. Chicano activists inspired Chicanos to vote and gave Chicanos a voice in the system. There are also a lot of organizations that formed, like the Mexican American Political Association, an organization that promotes the interests of Mexican Americans, Mexicans, Latinos, Chicanos, Hispanics, and Latino economic refugees in the United States. Also, the Mexican American Youth Organizations, a civil rights organization formed in 1967 in San Antonio to fight for Mexican American rights. And anti-war activism rose, which is the decision to start or carry on an armed conflict. Also, there was a rise in awareness on police violence. And for Chicano economics, the United Farm Workers went on strike, organized grape boycotts nationally, and eventually grape growers acknowledged the UFW as a real union.
Have you ever seen I Am Joaquin? Can you tell me a little bit
Oh
about
yeah,
that?
I have seen that actually. It's kind of like this film. It was made in 1969, and it was like it's based off of a poem by the same name.
I Am Joaquin.
Yeah, it's called I Am Joaquin, and it's like sort of like a staple in the Chicano movement because like it's really like the poem itself is like about Chicano empowerment. And the visuals in the film are really...
And reclaiming your heritage. Oh,
yeah.
And also, it's about reclaiming your heritage and not feeling forced to assimilate into white American culture. That is important.
Chicano film began in the late 60s with the film I Am Joaquin. Chicano film expanded into the 70s with films like Please Don't Bury Me Alive, the first feature Chicano film. This film focused on Chicano issues. It was filmed in South Texas, and it was hidden for a long time and then rediscovered in the 90s. Chicano film brought to light the struggles that the Chicano movement addressed, and this inspired films in the 70s like Walk Proud and Roots of Blood.
But like, dude, if we're going back to Chicano, like Hispanic Americans are firm believers in the American dream. Like hard work will earn you and your family a better life. So like, how shocked do you think they were to find out that like that wage gap existed? You know?
They were probably pissed. Like, I'm pissed.
There is a wage gap between white workers and Chicano workers too. Like it's not just like from man to woman.
Actually, Chicanos are paid less than any other racial
That's
minority
right, yeah.
in the
I've read about
workforce.
that.
That must have sucked to come all the way to America and like expect to have like that American dream and like.
Well, I mean, that's why they ended up. That's why they ended up writing like a bunch of songs. I've heard some of their music. Like our teacher played it for us, but a lot of their music apparently, since I don't understand it very much, our teacher said it's mostly about their homeland, and they write songs about where they came from.
In the 60s, Chicanos and Tejanos had chart-topping hits under band names that hit their Mexican-American identities, such as Sam the Sham and the Pharaohs and Cannibal and the Headquarters. With the rise of Chicano pride movement in the late 60s, rock groups such as El Chicano, Santana, and Malo embraced their identities by adopting Latin sounds and Spanish band names. Their best-known Chicano rock band today is Los Lobos, whose members since the 1960s and 70s have represented and explored many facets of Chicano music and life. Many Chicano songs are about struggle, hope, and vision, fueled by the Chicano movement's quest for civil rights, economic justice, and cultural respect. The most popular collection of Chicano songs is the Rolas de Aztlan. Translated, it means Songs of Our Land or Songs of Our Homeland, which refers to the mythic homeland of the Aztecs, literally meaning our land, redefined here to refer the American Southwest.
The legacy of the Chicano movement includes a heavy influence on current fashion. There was no definite Chicano fashion movement during the 1960s. However, Chicano fashion, more commonly known as Chola and Cholo fashion, greatly influences current fashion and is often appropriated by individuals and designers and design houses. This style commonly includes oversized dickies, flannels, hoops, gold jewelry and crosses, etc., and originated within Chicano communities in LA during the 1970s.
What are we laughing about? So Oko Ono's cut piece. Yoko Ono. How women are seen as a sexual object rather than like a subject.
Do you
or a
know
real
that John
person.
Lennon was like super abusive?
He
to Yoko
was?
Ono? Yeah. No, this is actually like for real though.
Oh yeah, for real though.
He was so abusive
Into
to, like,
his- into
all
their
of his
son,
wives.
yeah.
Yeah, and like he was such an asshole.
Proving that patriarchy is real in our society.
John
1960
Ringo Starr.
Is this new song by the Zeros? It's totally punk.
Wait, that's how I talk in real life, Sydney.
Facts. Come on, like actual taken from history facts.
It's trendy now.
It's arousing.
This is pop culture. The real 60s weren't actually like this at all.